We are getting ready to sew our drawstring bag together. And if you hear something that sounds like thunder in the background, that's actually the kids playing basketball in the gym, which is right next to my classroom. Okay, so again, we always want to check to make sure that our stitching is working just fine. You've got it threaded correctly. Needle up, presser foot up, pull off to the left. And looks pretty good. So we're ready to go. You should have the front and the back of your bag pinned together, and you should also have some little marks at the corner where the little flaps stop and the beginning of the side seam starts, and that's where we are going to start. Normally I would say line this up at 5/8 of an inch, and we may or may not be exactly at 5/8 of an inch depending on how accurately we sewed those little flaps. Mine look like they're pretty good. So I'm going to put my needle down because I want to be right on top of that little chalk mark that we put there. But if you notice, I'm a little bit over here, and that's okay at this point. I'm going to gradually get myself back where I need to be. It's just really important that those two little side flaps meet right next to each other like that whenever we open up the bag. So I'm going to stitch a couple stitches forward, and I want to make sure I back stitch all the way back up to the top there because I don't want that to come done in that one spot. And then if you notice, I've kind of gradually got myself back over here, so I'm doing 5/8 of an inch. I'm stitching a little bit faster just because I'm more experienced, but you take your time, go slowly if you need to. Stop and take your pins out. Remember, it's thicker right here, so it's going to sound a little different when it goes through. And wait till we get to the loops down at the bottom. And don't forget to take the tape off of your loops before you sew this part, because you do not want to be stitching through masking tape. I have seen it break needles before. Alright, so I'm almost down to that point where the straps are right here. I can tell because I've got all this extra stitching here, and I'm going to go really, really slowly across there because I want to make sure I'm accurate, but I also don't want to accidentally break a needle going through there. Alright. Now I need to stop and pivot at 5/8 of an inch, and I have to kind of guess this. I think I'm about at 5/8 of an inch, which is just a little bit past this line that's on your bobbin cover. But let's check. So I'm going to flip it around. Oh, maybe one more stitch. I think I can do one more stitch, and then I'll be at 5/8 of an inch. So I'll put my presser foot back down, and I'm going to do one more stitch. Needle up, needle down. Will take me one more. Now I'm too far, so I'm actually going to go back one. And again, back stitch, just one stitch. I like this part better. All right, I think it's better here. Alrighty, so then I'm just going to keep going along the bottom, making sure that I take my pins out as I go, keeping all the edges even. Oh, almost hit that pin. Don't do that. Slow down, take them out. And again, if you remember, it was just a little bit past that first vertical line or horizontal line that's on this bobbin cover, and that was about right. So let me check there. Now, this time I really do need one more stitch. So I'm just going to use the needle up and the needle down button to give me that one extra stitch. And that's pretty close. That's what we're going to go with. And again, I got all that thickness I got to get through, so go slow. Focus right here where your fabric is touching the blue tape. And now I can speed up a little bit. Remember, you go at your own speed. Don't think that just because I sew fast, you should be able to do that. I have been sewing for a really long time. Coming up to the hem of the pocket, Again, I don't want to tear that up going through there. And I'm almost up to the top. Now, we've been doing 5/8 of an inch all along, but if my 5/8 of an inch doesn't land right on my chalk mark, if it doesn't land right on my chalk mark, I'm going to be in trouble. So I'm holding these pieces together and I'm shooting right for that chalk mark. I want to land right here. So that's my focus point now. I want to hit the needle right there. And if you notice, I'm a little bit past over here, but that's okay. I back stitch, make sure I back stitch because that's a stress point. Needle up, presser foot up. And now, to check to see if this is sewn okay, I want to make sure I'm all the way up to the top, and I want to make sure that there's no little gap between those two things when I fold it open. Let me check the other side, see if I did a good job over there. Yep, there's no gap here, and they're not overlapped, so I'm okay right there. My next thing is to zigzag the sides, and we did this with our sample seam. So I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'm going to show you how to line it up to zigzag. So here we go. Our zigzag stitch is number 5, and I'm just going to scooch it right over there to number 5. We're going to use the standard zigzag. And I want to line it up so that the left edge of my presser foot is even with the previous stitching. And I am going to back stitch with this zigzag at the top because that's a stress point and I don't want it to come undone. So I'm just going to keep this edge right along there. I'm going to stitch down the side, cross the bottom, and up to the other side and make sure I back stitch at the top. Remember, when you get down here to where the loops are, this is really thick, so go slowly through that. In fact, I'm going to go down to the bottom and turn, and then I'll let you go on your own. Again, focusing right here, that's my focus point. Going through the hem, you can hear the machine working a little bit harder. And now I'm getting to those straps, and so it's going to work a little harder. I'm slowing down because I don't want to break my needle. Yep, I need to go just a little bit farther because when I turn, I want to make sure that yeah, that's pretty good. I want this outside edge to be pretty close to that because that's my focus point. Go across the bottom, turn the corner, pivot, go up the side. When you get to the top at the other side, I want you to zigzag, zigzag and back stitch, just like you did up here. Okay? That's your step today.